Students who want to know how to master SCP-5 need to use sheets to get a 4, which is basically translated to an A. So after they've collected data, I highly recommend putting it into 2 columns. So here we have an experiment we did in class, the order of the water, hot on top, cold on bottom, the 2 orders, and then how many times it mixed, and the number of trials that it mixed for hot on top, the number of trials it mixed for cold on top. In this data table, the reason I'll be successful is because there's 2 columns. Another reason I'm successful is because the numbers don't have words in them. If I were to write the number like 3 and then times next to it, when I go to graph it, it won't show what I want to see. So make sure that there's no text next to the numbers, even if it's the units that you're labeling. Additionally, you can't have extra rows in between. So if you were somehow skipping rows or doing something like this, you need to make sure that all your data is next to each other. So 2 ways to get that cleaned up are to right-click on the cells and to insert or delete rows as you need them. Another function that's really helpful for students that get frustrated by the words getting cut off is using the wrapping text. So when you select all cells by pressing this button here, I'm going to do that again. You select all cells here and then go to format, and then text wrapping and turn wrapping on so that the wrapping will flow to the next line and you won't get text cut off. So once you're looking at a table like this, you're going to select the data and insert the graph. So you can do that by pressing the insert button and then inserting chart, or by right off of the view of where the screen is, there's a little, let me see if I can get it in there. There's a little insert chart. So there we go. I'm going to insert the chart. It'll now show me a graph. Usually it's the first graph that's right, but sometimes I have to get and customize the graph. So when I selected the data and inserted the graph, if the right graph doesn't show up, I then would go back to switch the type of graph it was. So I would switch to do instead of a pie chart, I'd switch to do a bar graph. So this is the graph I need. The only thing that's missing between a 3 and a 4 is to put in a formula. So for this one, I might do a total or a sum formula. This would help me add up more like a ratio, how many times hot on top mixed to the total. And the way I set up a formula is by pressing the word equal. That's how a formula starts off. Sometimes it's suggested to me there. You can also go to the formula bar here, functions, and you can get the sum, average, count, max, minimum. I'm going to do the sum today, and it already highlighted the ones I wanted. If it didn't, you could enter those in manually. But you can also highlight the data you want to sum and then press enter. If you get stuck and you forget how to do a formula, you can always Google formulas in Sheets or functions in Sheets and it'll remind you. In order to get a mastery grade of a 4 on a graph, you need to have that formula. So if I were to delete this and delete this, I would only be able to show off a 3 for my graphing skills. Once again, in order to do a formula, you have to pick the formula you want. I want to do the total. Formulas always start with with equals. And then what you want to do, whether you're doing the average, the sum, the count, the max. Today I'm doing the sum. And you could just type it in here if you prefer. Then it's parentheses and the first value you're doing, which for me is B2. And then because I'm doing a row of them or a column of them, I'm going to go to B3. If I had multiple, I might be able to do even more than that. But today I only have 2. So I could just do B2 and then comma B1. That would work just the same for this one. And then the total is that. Thanks for listening and good luck with your graph.